Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning Five here on Friday, September 26th, 2025. I am Dave Biddle, very happy to be joined by Jonah Booker. BTA Fridays are back. Man, I think it might be a good one tomorrow, man. What's your, before we give our predictions, you a little nervous about tomorrow's game? I think we're in for a good one tomorrow. I have a lot of respect for this Washington team.
I'm excited for it, Dave. I think it's going to be a good test. Traveling out west, one of those opportunities for the Buckeyes to play in a hostile environment, different type of scenery. I'm excited for it. These are the type of games that you get up for when you're Ohio State. It's not going to be an easy matchup. I mean, the 22 straight wins at their home field, it speak volumes. I think this is a Washington team that's going to treat this like their Super Bowl. But I'm very excited for it. I think it's going to be an absolutely electric environment. Hold on, let me tweet this. Let me tweet this out.
Cool. Yeah, take your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll get to our predictions. Absolutely love it. All right. Gary's predicting 100 yards for Bo. We'll get to Bo Jackson a little bit later. I like that. Gary's saying Bo will get another 100 yards against Washington. If that happens, lock it down, baby. Lock it down.
I'm curious to see how this team comes out after a bye week.
I know, because they seems like people we're like, oh, this will help Ohio State, right? I'm like, my time covering the team, it's like they usually are sluggish coming off bye weeks. Like even last year, they lost to Oregon, then they had the bye week. It's like, okay, good time for that. It's been had a grueling first 6 games, a tough loss at Oregon, and get to regroup against a shaky Nebraska team at home. And then they played really bad against Nebraska. Won the game 21-17, Ohio State did last year, but they were sluggish. So I don't know if it helps them this year or not.
Yeah, ever since Ryan Day has been here, usually coming after a bye, it's been a little starting the games kind of slow. And it's fascinating. I was just kind of always, every week before our show, I always do some type of deep dive into Ohio State, just trying to add a little bit more to my plate, just studying the team. One of the things that I came across last night, and it also helps me kind of looking at some of my bets when I'm trying to do some correlation. I didn't realize Ohio State is actually dead last in college football in pace of play. Did you know that?
The Texas game is a big reason.
Right.
They were really trying to milk the clock in the Texas game, and they did. So it's a small sample size of 3 games, but I think that's skewed by Texas for sure.
Yeah, and I thought that was fascinating because, and I harp back, and I don't think it's really of a big deal because I last year they were really slow pace of play, and you would think that, hey, with this amount of athletes, they would typically want to overwhelm teams. And we thought last year with Chip Kelly and his background that they were going to speed things up. And Ryan Day had, and I can't remember if it was you, Dave, or one of the guys on the beat had asked Day about that last year. And he gave the reasoning behind why they play so slow is because they had the mind frame that they were going to have a very long season. So they were trying to kind of limit the wear and tear on the players because they knew that they were going to have a deep playoff run. So they were purposely trying to slow the games down. And I thought that was fascinating because when you look at this Ohio State team, they have the potential to put up a lot of points, but they also are the slowest moving team in and out of the huddle in college football. But you also have a Washington team that's putting up 55 points a game. They're around 89 as far as pace of play, so they're not necessarily fast as well. And I also wonder, like, does Day coming out of a bye in a hostile environment kind of plays it close to the vest to start the game? Are we talking about maybe a first half under bet to as he's trying to fill it out, doesn't want to put Julian Sand in a hostile environment, try to overwhelm him? I don't know. Just thinking out loud, Dave, because trying to figure out Ryan Day after a bye can be a little tricky.
Or maybe, go try to take the crowd out of it as early as possible, go uptown, baby, early.
Yeah.
Julian throws he throws a beautiful ball anywhere on the gridiron, but he's just been pinpoint with deep balls. Yeah, I know though. If you throw it, if you take a shot downfield and you miss, all of a sudden it's 2nd and 10. Like, I get it. I get it. You're behind schedule, but like, why not, man?
Right. And I think that's a great point, and we will dig deeper into that into our game preview, because that's something that I definitely want to add on to is this Washington defense. I think it might be ripe for the picking, Dave. And as we get into our in-game breakdown, I definitely want to touch in on that.
No doubt about it. I'll just give a little everybody's talking about the offense, myself included. Damon Williams Jr., rightfully so. I like their running back. I like their number one receiver, Denzel Boston. I love all three of those guys. And Jed Fish is a good offensive-minded head coach. But yeah, I think this defense might be leaky. I like their D coordinator, Ryan Walters, but he only has so much to deal with personnel-wise. All right, brass tacks. As we want to do, I'll give a countdown. We'll go 3, 2, 1, and count of one. I will post my prediction for Ohio State, Washington, as you say yours, and then I'll post yours as well. Okay. So on the count, when you hear one, give me your prediction, Jay Book. 3, 2, and 1.
Buckeyes 34-21.
We're pretty close. I have 31-20.
Yeah. So we both got Ohio State covering.
Yeah, you have 30. You said 34-21.
34-21.
We're really close. We're always so close. It cracks me up. It cracks me up. I got to make sure I have this right. So, okay, 34-20. Yeah, we're really close. Yeah, and I won't be surprised if, like, even though I said 31-20, I won't be surprised if that means, like, this is a one-score game in the fourth quarter and then Ohio State then gets a two-score lead. I expect a tight game. I expect to have some nervous moments in this game, a lot of them. Hopefully not. Hopefully they get a big lead and just cruise to victory. But
and my guy Tom from Myrtle Beach, add that to the chart. He's been keeping the running total on the chart, Dave.
And he better be keeping the running total for your best bets, which is just, you've been just on fire. 4-0 for the season on best bets. J-Book is. I'm just a mere 2-2, and that's only because I went 2-0 the last 2 weeks. I started off 0-2. All right, here we go. 31.
You're heating up though.
Oh,
you're starting to heat up on the best bets.
We get this 31-20. Okay, there we go. All right. We'll get into more about that, why we picked that in a minute. Do you want to go right to best bets now?
Let's go to the best bets. I'll let you start off first with the best bets since you're heating up.
I'm going to stick in the Big 12. Last week I went Big 12. I went Texas Tech. I actually had a money line bet on Texas Tech too, but I went, for the sake of the show, I just went point spread to be safe. But Texas Tech's looking good. So I'm going to stick in the Big 12. And I'm going to say Kansas is going to cover that 4.5 at home against Cincinnati. Kansas was really, really good last week. I know West Virginia is not that good, but they just smacked West Virginia around 41-10. I like Kansas's veteran quarterback, Jalen Daniels.
Yeah.
He's not a fantastic quarterback, but he's a good college quarterback. I can throw it, can run it. I also like their running back. I like their best receiver. And I think Lance Leipold is a really good head coach. They took a step back last year. There's no doubt about it, but he's done a really good job at Kansas. Cincinnati's not a bad team at all. They gave it, not that Nebraska's good. They gave Nebraska everything they could handle at Arrowhead, lost that game barely by 3. So Cincinnati's not bad. They've got a pretty good quarterback too, and Sorsby. But something tells me Kansas is going to win this game by 7 or more. I like it. So give me the Jayhawks at home, 4.5 over the Bearcats.
That's funny that you say that, because I was considering that game as well. Yeah, so I'm definitely going to probably tell you for that pick. So I like that one as well. I think Kansas has an opportunity to really put that one away. Kansas is tough at home as well. So I like Kansas right there. My best bet of the week. Let's keep the party rolling. 5-0. Rice at Navy over 44.5 points. Navy themselves on the season, they're averaging 44.5.
Over 44.5 points. Rice at Navy.
Yep, Rice at Navy over 44.5. Navy's just themselves alone this season, they're already averaging that. Rice, add them to the mix, they're averaging about 22.5. Both teams, just if you average those teams together, hitting their yearly average, you're talking about 67 points combined. So it would take something pretty detrimental for those teams not to hit their yearly average for that game to go under. Navy's coming off a bye, so they got an extra week to prepare. The over has hit in all 3 of Navy's games so far. 3 out of the 4 of Rice's games have hit. so far this season. So I like the Rice at Navy over 44.5 points. I love that one. So I think that I'm adding that one as a pretty big bet this weekend. And if you look at some of the Navy historical, they've been knocking on the door of 40 points almost total in the first half in a lot of their bets this year.
I'm definitely going to tell you on that one. And by the way, Navy's quarterback from Hilliard, Ohio. I'm
Yeah.
coming to you live from Hilliard right now. Blake Horvath. And he can throw it a little bit. Like for a Navy quarterback to have 1,300 passing yards last year, not this year. This year is 328 in 3 games. That's a lot for Navy. If you're averaging over 100 yards passing a game, that's good for Navy. And you're right, man. Yeah, they played VMI first week and they scored 52. Okay, but they've played like D1 teams the next 2 weeks. They played UAB, scored 38 on them, 38-24 at Tulsa, who just just sent Mike Gundy into getting tarmacked. Tulsa 42-23. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I might do a little I'm definitely going to do that over, and I might include that in a parlay with my best bet, your best bet, maybe Buckeyes covering the 8.5, and maybe Oregon plus 3.5, because I think that's going to be a really good game in Happy Valley. I can see Penn State winning, but it feels like a 50-50 game almost. I'm curious to get your take on that real quick. So you give me 3.5 points with Oregon. Yeah. I might do a little 4-leg parlay there and throw a Oregon plus 3.5 in there.
And I'll give you a parlay too if people want to get a little frisky with that Navy one as well, because we always like to give some secondary bets here on this show. So if you're feeling really good, things are going well for you. Here's 2 secondary bets that I like. I also like Duke versus Syracuse over 60.5. I know Syracuse lost their quarterback for the season, but the quarterback that they have he was still able to really move the ball against Clemson. Duke's offense, they're averaging about 34 points a game. Syracuse, they're averaging about 38 points per game. Both defenses are atrocious. You're talking about the 112th ranked defense in Duke and 96 in Syracuse. On the flip side of that, you're talking about pace of play. You're talking 2 of the Syracuse and Duke, 2 top 10 teams in pace of play. So you're having a wicked combination of 2 teams who likes to snap the ball under 22 seconds, and they both have 2 defenses that are really bad. So I like over 60.5 in that game. The other game that I like is Cal at Boston College under 52.5 points. Cal, with a true freshman quarterback, went to San Diego State last weekend, got absolutely shut out. Now they have to turn back around, travel all the way across the country to Boston College. Boston College coming off a bye there. You got 52.5 points to play with there. You might have a Cal team that's kind of hitting a wall with a freshman quarterback, a little bit tired with back-to-back road games there. I like Boston College coming off a bye with the points there under 52.5. Now, the parlay that I was talking about, if you have Bet365, I really like that app because they give you a lot of alt bets. You can do a Navy a Navy over 20.5 points first half and a Boston College pick'em 2-team parlay plus 180 on there. So I threw that together and I was like, this is pretty good odds. So all you need is 3 touchdown scores with Navy in the first half, and they've been crushing that all season. Boston College just to go into halftime, up 3 points, combo those together plus 180. That's a bet right there that I feel like, hey, if you can get in on that, that's a good one. I don't think you can find those on other apps, but Bet365, and I know that's available in Ohio as well.
It definitely is. Yes, a good British company, Bet365. Yeah, I'm partial to FanDuel. They're going crazy with the profit boosts. Like every time I go on there, it's like 50%, 50%. 30%
I like
is not
FanDuel.
really much.
Yeah. So I bounce back and forth from FanDuel because I like the profit boost. But when I go to 365 because they'll give you like those alt bets to where on FanDuel, if you look at the Navy over first half, I think they probably had it at like 23.5 or 24.5 or something like that for the first half. But you can go over to 365 and get it for like 20.5. So if they score 21, boom, you're in there safe and sound. You parlay that with just Boston College going into half up 3. You already smacked that parlay. You feeling good for the rest of your day. Now I can go ahead, take that money, trail Dave on his 4.5 point bet on Kansas, win that one, throw a little bit of money because if they keep betting that Washington game, Dave, in Ohio State, and that line starts coming down, that one, I don't know if it's going to come down Ohio State. I don't think it's going to come down under a touchdown. Do you think? I think it's going to stay at 7.5. I can't believe it's come down as far as it's come.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if it's 6.5. I would be very surprised. But I'm surprised at 7.5. I was thinking it would come out, and I would think I was going to think it was too high. I thought it was going to come out like 14.5. And I was thinking, I bet this will be a closer game than that. But then it came out at 11.5. I was like, oh, okay. And then before you knew it, it was down to 9.5. That's when I posted the story on Bucknuts on Monday morning. Came out Sunday evening, but I posted it Monday morning. It was down to 9.5, and then I think an hour later it was down to 8.5. So, and now you're saying it's down to 7.5. Hey,
Yeah.
I mean, this is not. We've seen games over the years. We don't need to bring up last year's Michigan game. I know I just did, where it's a shocking loss. Ohio State's favored by 3 touchdowns and they lose a game, like the game at Purdue with Urban, Iowa. Those are shocking losses. I think Ohio State's going to get the job done. We can see our predictions right there. I'm predicting them to win and cover. But this would not be a shocking loss. This is a tough place to play, and they're a good team. So it wouldn't be a shocking loss, but I think Ohio State's going to get the job done. I tell you what would be shocking is if the Americans can get their act together in the Ryder Cup. My God. I think they had whiskey for breakfast this morning.
What you got on? You got any secondary bets that you looking at, man?
If as I told my friends last night, I'm going to go retroactive. I told some of my good friends, like, go Marvin Harrison over 50.5 receiving yards.
You text me that last night, and I was a little worried for you, Dave, until Marvin heated up in the fourth quarter there.
Yeah, early on, it looked like a profit, right? So I'm like, here's my theory. Like, there's been all this blowback this week. Now, Marv has deserved some of it because he had a couple of bad drops last week, but some of it I think is maybe overblown. I'm like, I bet you anything they're just going to like go out of their way to feed Marv. And first play of the game, he has a catch. I don't think he had another catch till like the third quarter.
Yeah.
You even texted me, boom, first play.
I know.
Yeah, I need to look a little closer. Like, there are some others that I've considered, like Oregon plus 3.5. I do wonder, we've seen really good Ohio State quarterbacks get there and get rattled in that. I mean, Troy Smith was really good in 2005. And I mean, that wideout, now that was a great Penn State defense. But that, Troy Smith, was hard to rattle him. He was a little rattled. I can see Dante Moore get rattled in this environment. But I also think Oregon's the better team. So that's one I'm definitely looking at, is Oregon plus 3.5.
Okay. Yeah, I think James Franklin there, he's not very good. I think he's like 4-20 against top 10 teams, and his record coming off a bye is even worse. Like, it's pretty bad. Penn State's actually not very good in their wideout.
Right. They got the kid from Syracuse, but like, I know, man, like they just, and they haven't been that impressive. They were up on, what was it? I think it was Florida International. They were up like maybe by 7 entering the fourth quarter or something like that. I was doing a live podcast. Watching damn. Okay, let's move right along here. So, like, if you look at this matchup, let's start with what you're most confident about. When you look at this Ohio State versus Washington matchup, you're like, okay, I'm super confident. You can name more than one thing, obviously. I'm confident about this. What do you got?
I would say the Ohio State's offense versus Washington's defense. I feel like the Ohio State's offense is going to be able to move the football however they choose. You're talking about a Washington defense that, one, they're coming into this game pretty banged up. This is a unit that's ranked 118th in PFF rush defense. So they are very vulnerable to the big plays. They are a team that really struggles with being able to tackle in space. And a large part of that is because of they are dealing with a lot of injuries. They had probably 10 players unavailable for the Apple Cup. They had linebacker Jacob Manu, Takario Davis, their senior cornerback, who's questionable, who for this matchup, if Davis is not able to go in this matchup, that's going to be a big time blow for them. Pretty much their cornerback number one, who they like to run a lot of man coverage. So if you don't have your cornerback one out there for Jeremiah Smith, that's going to be a big blow. Their linebacker Tariq Buddha Al, I think it's says Al Cuda or something like that. One of their most physical present linebackers in the middle. He's been out for a while. So they're dealing with a lot of injuries on that defense, and it's shown. They haven't had a lot of big tests as far as the competition, and for them to still have such a poor rush grade, considering the opponents that they've come across, kind of tells you where they're at defensively.
I'm with you. I am definitely confident in going up against that defense. I do like Ryan Walters a lot as a defensive coordinator. I think he did a really good job at Illinois his 2 years there, parlayed that into the Purdue head coaching job, and now he's at Washington. But, yeah, they're banged up. They've been a little leaky at times. Washington State's not good. I mean, they were good last year because they had John Mateer, and they had the offensive coordinator that followed the one with Mateer to Oklahoma. Washington State is not good this year, and they gave Washington all they could handle. I know it's an in-state rivalry. I get that. But, I'm with you, man. I mean, you look at I just this Ohio State offense, they need to run the ball more consistently. And hopefully Bo Jackson's okay. There's been some talk that he banged his knee up a little bit, but from everything I've heard, he's made the trip. He's going to be okay. We'll see. But I also, another thing, even though it's strength on strength I'm definitely most confident about Ohio State's offense going up against this leaky defense, especially with them banged up. I'm also confident to a lesser degree, but then Ohio State's defense going up against this excellent offense. This offense has scored on 20 straight drives. I think DeMond Williams probably came in the country as the most underrated quarterback in the nation. I really like his running back, his number one wide receiver in Boston. But, man, defense travels, as you know, man. Defense travels, and this is a fast, ferocious, suffocating Ohio State defense with smart guys like Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Washington's going to get there. I picked them to get 20 points, which I was thinking, are they really going to be able to get 20 points on this defense? That shows you how much I respect this offense for Washington. But, man, this Ohio State defense, I think it's the best in the country, and defense travels.
Here's the other thing. When you watch that Apple Cup, Washington State completed 69% of their throws. Their secondary is giving up on average 60% completion percentage to quarterbacks. Who's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in all of college football and the most accurate downfield thrower in college football? That's Julian Sand. So those two combinations together kind of tells you, and it goes back to what you were saying to start the show, Dave. Like we were just kind of talking in brain theory to say, okay, how do you start this game if you're Ryan Day? Do you kind of play it safe because it's a hostile environment? Julian Sand's first start on the road, and you made the point like, hey, this secondary, this defense, it might be right for the picking. And when you throw in the tape and you see a defense that's littered with guys who are banged up, on top of that, they allow Washington to complete 70% of the passes. You have elite NFL wide receivers. Take your shots, man. Stretch the field. Go in there and be more aggressive. And that's the one thing that Ryan Day does. Like sometimes he will kind of predetermine, like, hey, this is going to be a battle. It's going to be a fourth quarter battle. And sometimes I think in the back of my head, it's like, why does it really have to be a fourth quarter battle? Like, you're clearly better. Like, just smash them, man. Like, go in there. I know it's going to be loud. I know it's going to be a hostile environment, but belt the ass and get out of there with a win. And once you get up, kind of make them one-dimensional and put their quarterback in a situation to where he has to really rely on Denzel Boston, their wide receiver. And you're right, that defense, because if you can get them in a situation, because Jonah Coleman is an outstanding running back for Washington. If you can get Damon Williams in a situation to where they are in a trailing situation, Matt Patricia allows this defense to go hunting. That kind of takes them out of their element because they are really at their best, this Washington offense, when Williams is more that dual threat quarterback with Jonah Williams being able to gash you with the runs. He's averaging 6 yards, 6.8, almost 7 yards per carry. So when they're at their best, when they're balanced, if you have them in a situation where you're up 14 and they're having to chase you, and then Matt Patricia can really get creative, that's when you really start to put that heat on them. So kind of just talking things out with you, Dave. I'm all for Ryan Day coming out aggressive, swinging, hitting them in the mouth early, seeing how this Washington program responds, because they're going to be gassed up. They're going to be hyped. The crowd's going to be electric. How do they respond when the big boys come in there and punch them in the mouth early? Like, are they going to fold, or are they going to come back and fight you right, blow for blow right in the middle of the ring?
Yeah, I'd like to see them take some deep shots early. Just like you said, come out and be aggressive like they were against Oregon in the Rose Bowl, for example.
Yeah.
How'd that work out?
Right.
Because you don't want to look back on this game even if I say ekes out a close win, or heaven forbid they lose. You don't want to say, you know what, we should have been more aggressive. Like, shoot your shot, man. You've got, as you said, you've got this human jugs machine, as his high school coach nicknamed him, Julian Saint, as your quarterback. Go get it. You get the best wide receivers in the country, and if for some reason they're double teaming both of your wide receivers, that means Max Clare is going to have nobody on him and these other great tight ends they have. So Brandon Ennis as well. I mean, it's just like, yeah, let's go at let's try and take this crowd out, because that's my biggest concern is this crowd, this environment. Ohio State always has a target on their back, as you know, man. But like now, defending national champs, #1 team in the nation coming in there, it's going to be a tough environment for sure.
This is one of those teams, Dave. You need to jump on them early and break the wheel early and get the crowd out of it. Because if you come in with that mindset of, oh, this is going to be a fourth quarter game, it's going to be a battle to the very end. Now you're playing a very, very dangerous game, because you're already going into the game with the mindset of, we're going to let this team hang around. And once you start letting a team with these type of weapons on offense hang around, they become extremely dangerous, especially when you have a crowd behind them, because all of a sudden that crowd starts getting into it, and it takes a false start from your offense or a legal procedure penalty, and your offense is off schedule now, and that crowd's getting into it, saying can't get the call in because he can't hear or something. Now things start to get a little bit funky, and you're letting them hang around. Nope. Go in there, smash them early, and then you put them in a very, very uncomfortable situation. Then you start to see how they respond. Like, that's why this game is so much fun, because we've seen two elements of Ryan Day. We've seen the Ryan Day in the playoff mode era, where he came out super aggressive, the Tennessee, the Oregon, where he jumped out on them early, and we saw the results that, hey, if this Ohio State team gets you on your back in the middle of the ring, and they're pummeled, and they're hitting you with elbows and knees, and they're mauling you, it's almost impossible for you to beat them. And it's almost impossible to flip them over and come back and win those type of battles. But if you are just letting a team hang around in fourth quarter, things start to get a little bit tight. It gets a little bit uncomfortable, and it tends to be a little bit more anxious than what it should be. And that was kind of like that Ryan Day that we saw during the regular season. So I'm so fascinated to see, will we get playoff Ryan Day, or will we get last year's regular season Ryan Day?
Even the Texas game last year, the semifinals, he went into that one with almost like, we know this is going to be a fourth quarter game, and he was right. But to your point, it does seem like he almost like speaks that into existence sometimes. Like, just if it ends up being a fourth quarter game, we know it could be a fourth quarter game. How about just go out there and try and just take the crowd out of it and impose your will on these guys. So hopefully that's what happens tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. I love that it's a 3:30 Eastern kick. 12:30 for you out there. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I was going to say, even in the Texas game this year, when you look at it, if I know it was a situation going in, they were like, okay, Julian's first game, we don't want to put him in a bad situation. The defense was playing well, but I felt like a lot of those 2-yard run plays up the gut with Donaldson and Peoples, those were a lot of wasted plays. I'd rather say, hey, let's get the ball to Tate or Jeremiah Smith on the perimeter. Even if they're quick throws, I feel like if we can get those two guys the ball and have them make one guy miss, those are more opportunities to make someone miss to be chunk plays as opposed to running up the back of the guard's butt and being 2nd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6 type of plays, instead of saying, hey, we're going to be aggressive. We're going to dictate the terms of the game. You're going to play on our terms. And if you can't match that, tough luck.
Great stuff as always from Jonah Booker. I appreciate it, my friend. He is J-Book. Thank you, sir.
Good luck on your bets and go Bucks.
Yeah, good luck. If you just follow what J-Book saying, you'll probably do well. Go Bucks. Good to see you, JB. All right, he's the man. Appreciate Jonah for joining me on BTA Fridays. Love having him on. All right, guys, I'll be with you tomorrow after the game, what we learned live immediately following the game. I'll round up some guests as well, and we'll have Steve Hellwagon and Patrick Murphy after post-game interviews, boots on the ground at Husky Stadium. So, we should be finishing the game right around, I would think, 7 local time, 7 o'clock Eastern, right around there. Maybe a little earlier than that with the less plays in college football now. Of course, that just seems like there's just more commercials. I don't know if there's really the game time is any shorter. There's definitely less plays in college football than there used to be. But anyway, thanks to J-Book. Thanks to all of you. I really appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow on What We Learned Live. Hope you guys have a great day. And let's hope the Buckeyes take care of business tomorrow. Go Bucks. Still basking.